I am genuinely tired of having to record these types of episodes. I'm not a fan of having to record about death, about people dying, about the emotionally charged, just out there reactions that people can get when it comes to people dying, especially when it's in these types of deaths. As you can see based off of the picture I'm using for the episode, I'm talking about the cases of Cyrus Belton and Karmelo Anthony. They are two high profile cases that have happened over the past couple of weeks involving young black teenagers who either were killed or committed a murder, or I don't want to say necessarily a murder, or killed somebody in Carmelo's sense. And they've been getting a lot of reactions from a lot of different people, whether you believe Cyrus deserved to die or not. You know, you've got people who are debating that, which is crazy to me, and whether or not Karmelo deserved to be in jail or whether he should have gone free or just been given a lighter sentence in his case. I'm not here to go over the details of the case. I thought about how if I wanted to tackle this episode and talking about all this from that perspective, and I don't. I, I don't feel like going over all of the intricacies of the case and all of the bullshit that went on with either one, because there are people that are going to do that better than me, that are going to be more willing to just sort of engulf themselves in the depressing nature of just the perpetual just continuity of black people dying. I'm tired of black death. I don't have fun discussing this shit. I don't have fun thinking about it. I don't even like really looking up the facts of either one of these cases too much, other than to know what I need to know. So the way I'm going to tackle talking about this is really just explaining, when it comes to Karmelo, I'm going to explain to some of y'all out there why the reactions, why there are black people who have wanted him to be free, and just sort of try to get y'all to understand why this is bullshit. Well, not the case, not the verdict itself, but just the way that Karmelo has been sort of treated by the justice system and the way the general public has reacted. And when it comes to Cyrus, I'm just gonna really try to I'm just really gonna try to explain to y'all why a black person's life should be worth a little bit more than a fucking water bottle, and why it should be important to call the fucking police instead of just trying to chase after people and be a vigilante. But we are going to start with Carmelo because I do feel like his case is a little bit more complicated, has a little bit more stuff to talk about, and I just want to get it out there. I do think he was wrong to kill Austin Metcalf. I do think that if I would have been on that jury, he wouldn't have. He might not have been charged. He might not have been found guilty of straight murder if I had a say in it, but he definitely wouldn't have. He wouldn't have walked away scot free. Now, the reason why I have been so irked by this case and why I have sort of been so bothered by the way the cases went is not just because of the whole railroading, only giving them a white jury. I have seen reports that there was some Indian people on that jury, but honestly, that might as well just be some white people. If you know, you know. The real issue that I have with it is is that there have been cases that I feel are very similar to Carmelo Anthony's, that I feel have very similar circumstances, and yet those people have been found to be justified. They've been not found liable. They've been let go. And I want to bring up the George Zimmerman case. I want to bring up Trayvon Martin because that one in particular has really just sort of resonated with me when I think about this case and why I feel the way I do. Now, if you were living under a rock back in the 2010s, George Zimmerman was on trial for the murder of Trayvon Martin. He was a neighborhood watch, or part of his neighborhood watch was trying to just scout around his neighborhood, trying to make sure things were safe or whatever the fuck he was doing. And you have Trayvon Martin, who is just a black dude. He was going into a convenience store, got himself some Skittles in Arizona, was minding his business, just trying to, live his life. And so George Zimmerman sees him walking through his neighborhood. His hood was up. I don't know if it was cold or rain. I don't remember what the weather was, but it really shouldn't have mattered. And now I say this to say that if you are ever in a situation where you see someone sketchy in your neighborhood, especially late at night, you worry about them and you don't know what they're up to or anything like that, I am going to tell you right now, I think it's very smart and it's very beneficial for you to, instead of trying to take matters into your own hands, this case is a prime example of why maybe you should, just call the police, maybe mind your business, maybe not just, try to go out there thinking you're Rambo or that you need to be fucking Superman. Because George Zimmerman goes and confronts Trayvon. So he starts this confrontation. He initiates it. It goes left. They're fighting. George Zimmerman, in a fear for his life, shoots and kills him. And after a trial, after we go over all the facts of the case, after it's shown and it's pretty much known, he initiated it. He started talking to Trayvon. He was the one who did all of this. He's still found innocent because of a stand your ground law in Florida. I don't know if stand your ground is a thing in Texas. It's probably not, knowing Texas and the silly states they do. I had to do research to find out. Texas doesn't even have different degrees of murder. You pretty much either are charged with murder or you're not. So the reason I bring that up is because the way I have been thinking about this case, the way it has been going through my head, and I'm going to keep it real, real simple. If George Zimmerman is able to start a confrontation with Trayvon Martin, who was minding his business, who hadn't stolen anything, who wasn't doing any criminal, who was not committing a criminal act, if he is able to start a confrontation with him that didn't need to get started, end up shooting and killing him, and then be acquitted, be able to get off, what is the difference between that and what Karmelo Anthony did? Because if Karmelo Anthony was being surrounded, if he had already had somebody place their hands on him, if he had already been in a situation where he was fearing for his life, the way George Zimmerman was claimed to have, why is it that Karmelo is being treated as if he is this cold-blooded murderer, as if he just went over there looking for trouble, meaning to cause harm to somebody, instead of just people being able to see that this was clearly just a scared fucking teenager who found himself in a confrontation with Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf could have went over and said that shit nicer, but that does not, no, at no point should he have been stabbed in the fucking heart. Why is it that so many people are quick to only view him through one lens? Yet even when George Zimmerman was on trial, there were so many people who were trying to find excuses for what he did. There are still pictures out there of people who are mocking Trayvon Martin for the way he died, dressing up as him, using blackface. This was not this was not the same type of reaction. And so I'm left with that question because that's the one that I keep going back to. What's different? Why is that you only view one in a certain way and you only view the other in a certain way? George Zimmerman was a grown-ass man. He was a grown-ass man. He was a grown adult who should have known better, who should have had more logical thought to realize it's not a smart idea to confront someone even if I think that they are doing no good. Maybe let me call the police. Yet, Karmelo Anthony, who is a teenager, who is a in all honesty, in my opinion, just a dumb kid. We have so many people who are quick to say we need to get out the electric chair. It's time to dust off old Sparky. He deserved it. He deserves to be in prison. I can't wait for him to be somebody's bitch. So many AI pictures of Karmelo going in there with some big motherfucker behind him getting ready to do God knows what. Weird shit. People taking glee in this man's suffering and him going to prison. I say all that because I don't even think at a certain point that these are people who even feel bad for Austin Metcalf. These aren't people who are so sorry that this happened to him. This is literally just about they like to see black people suffer. They like to see black people get consequences, be held accountable, whatever the fuck that means. And that is why I find an issue with the way that he has been treated. I don't like that he had an all-white jury. I don't like that so much of this has just been, especially when it's a case that didn't necessarily need it. It's like it feels like they tried to railroad him, like they have tried to do out of their way to make sure he was found guilty. When in all actuality, this was a case where you could have given him an all black jury, and motherfuckers would have been able to tell that yes, he should be held accountable. Yes, he's got to maybe not murder, but this is like manslaughter. He did wrong, and so I understand people who are outside who are outraged at this case, who are outraged at the way it was handled. I don't agree with anybody who's saying that Karmelo Anthony should just be free, that she should have let go and just went home. But the way that the court system appeared to be doing him the way when they really could have optically not done all that and they still would have gotten the same result. That's what rubs me the wrong way. That's what I don't like about the case and the way it was handled. I'm not gonna sit here and say that anyone out there is calling for him to be like free all the way. Those people are wrong. You don't get to stab somebody in the fucking heart over a seat under a tent at a track meet and get away with it. I don't understand why he had the knife on him in the first place. I don't think it was. I don't understand how that confrontation was able to escalate to that point, and it never should have. There should have been an adult on there to diffuse, to tell Austin to chill out, to just tell him to live and let live, or to just tell Karmelo, hey, as a teacher here, you got to move. But there wasn't, and now both of their lives are ruined. One of them is dead and gone, and the other one, he's thrown away 35 years of his life over a seat under a tent. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, just looking at this picture on the screen, I don't think Karmelo is the type of guy that should be in prison. I don't think he's built for that. And that's why we have to do a better job, especially when it comes to our men. And I'm not just talking black men, I'm talking white guys, I'm talking everybody. Because these teenagers, these young men coming up now, a lot of them are awkward. A lot of them have a real they're just socially stunted because of a lot of different reasons, COVID, phones, all this shit. But sometimes they don't know how they don't have valuable social skills. They don't know how to de-escalate a situation without making it worse. Because if somebody would have done that, both of them would still be here. At worst, they would have fought. Somebody maybe they would have jumped him and he would have got beat up for like 10 to 15 seconds before an adult broke it up. But because it didn't, now it's something that's completely different. There's somebody that's dead, somebody that died in their brother's arms, and Karmelo has his entire life thrown away. His life is ruined. Yeah, it's only 35 years, but I'm going to tell y'all right now, a young man like that going in there, being surrounded by all these fucking animals, I I I feel for him and I pray for him because I don't know how you are able to stay sane, how you're able to remain yourself going through that. And it's just tragic. It's tragic all around. And I hate that both families lost somebody. I hate, again, that this was a situation that even went the way it did. I wish they would have been able to just throw hands. I wish Karmelo would have been able to understand that regardless of Austin being 6'6", regardless of him having a twin that was right there, regardless of anybody else that was surrounding him, the knife just wasn't necessary in that scenario. It's not right for what you are going through in that environment. And that's what I want motherfuckers to be teaching their boys. That's what I want people to be teaching, not even just their kids in general. Understand when a fight is worth having, understand when a confrontation is worth standing your ground, and understand when sometimes it's okay to just walk the fuck away. Who cares about your pride? Who cares about your ego? Who cares about whatever smart aleck thing this motherfucker said to you? If they push you or whatever, you gotta just walk away. Even if you fight, even if you win, what is the point if you are throwing your life away, potentially throwing your life away, hitting somebody and killing their ass over nothing? This ain't about no money. This ain't about no bread. This ain't about no real shit. This ain't even about no pussy. This was over a fucking seat under a tent at a track meet. We gotta teach them better. We gotta help them understand when something is just worth it and when it's not. Because Karmelo, I can't really rock with you on a situation like this, my man. This shit it wasn't necessary. Your family is fucked up right now. Your mom isn't gonna be able to hug you unless it's through some fucking bars because of a seat under a track meet. I've seen pictures of the kid. None I've ever seen of Karmelo Anthony has made me think that this was a kid that was like that. That was that was hanging around the wrong crowd. He just seemed like a young dude from Texas. And now he's in this situation. It's tragic. But the other situation that I do want to talk about, that I do want to touch on, is the Cyrus Belton case. Again, 14-year-old, South Carolina, goes into a store to grab some stuff. They accuse him of stealing. He shows them his pockets to show him he's not stealing. He puts the water down that he had with him, and he's trying to leave, but either they saw him adjusting what he had on him, which which I'll get to in a second, and it wasn't anything that was from the store, or they just didn't believe him, period. And the son, Andy, and the father, Rick, the owners of the store, they thought it was worth it to just have the son chase him 130 fucking yards. well away from your store over some fucking water bottles, over nothing. And the case is a little bit complicated, I will admit, because of the fact that Cyrus had the gun on him, had a semi-automatic pistol. That's some serious shit. You're walking around with a gun out there. You are you are seriously putting yourself in some danger because hey, that weapon makes you a real threat to or just a real problem. So I said earlier he was adjusting something, or they might have saw him doing that. I'm from all I've seen, it was probably just the gun he had on him. He had more than one phone, maybe it was that, but either way, they saw him adjusting something and they must have assumed he had something else on him even after he said no, he didn't. So the son starts to chase him. Cyrus takes off. This man's like, why the fuck are y'all chasing me? I don't have anything. And it was a crazy chase, intense, like I said, over a football field of running. This man lost shoes. I think he lost both the phones he had on him, and he dropped the gun that he had. And this is the point of contention. The Chows, Andy and Rick, they say that he pointed the gun at Andy. There's no other eyewitnesses that claim that said that happened at all. But one way or another, he ended up dead. Cyrus was shot down in the back, running away by Rick, and he was arrested the next day, and that was in 2023. And so after 3 years, after a trial, they decided that he's actually innocent, and they acquitted him. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this is the one that has really irked me. This is the one that has really wanted me to just see motherfuckers protesting, to be really out there in the streets, because this is an Karmelo was a case of just not really being able to check yourself, of not really being able to react accordingly when you're in the middle of some real shit. This Cyrus case is just an example of how little Black lives really mean to people. Because again, you mean to tell me that the Chows can be so pressed over some bottles of water, over whatever the fuck they think he stole, that instead of just leaving it to the police, instead of calling authorities who are trained, whose job it is to deal with this type of shit, they thought it was better to have the son chase after this young man, again, over the length of a football field, over water. I've worked plenty of retail jobs. I've had jobs at farmers markets. I've had jobs at a Walgreens. I've had jobs all across retail. The one consistent thing I know I've always heard is that when it comes to dealing with shoplifters, when it comes to dealing with getting robbed of anything of that nature, you don't chase after these motherfuckers. If you see somebody just running out of the store with a whole cart full of shit, if you see a motherfucker come up to you and just try to pull something out on you and tell you give you the money, you cooperate. You do what they tell you to, and when they're done, you stay your ass there. If they are running out there with a shopping cart full of nothing, and you don't even see a weapon, you stay your ass in the store. You do not chase. You do not pursue, because you don't know what that motherfucker has on them. You don't know how badly they're trying to steal that shit. And you also don't do it, in my opinion, because once you start going out there trying to do that vigilante justice shit, if things go south, if you do end up in a fight, or if you end up having to put a motherfucker down, that becomes on you. I don't care if somebody stole. I don't care if somebody is robbing your store. If you chase them outside, if you chase them off the premises of your store, at a certain point, that's out of your jurisdiction. You are putting yourself in danger, and you are escalating a situation that you are not equipped or trained to deal with. I have no sympathy for the Chows when it comes to him being accused of murder or him getting his store destroyed afterwards, because you chose that instead of just allowing the proper authorities to handle it, instead of allowing them to go and find Cyrus, because you had a whole fucking video with his face on it. There was no reason to think that he was just going to escape and get away and not be held accountable. You had the means to go and make sure that he was held accountable. You just had to be a superhero. You just had to have your fucking son feel like he's a big man by chasing after him, by doing all this extra shit. And then when a gun gets involved, when y'all just feel like there's like Y'all just feel the slightest sense of danger, you think that you are justified to go into vigilante justice and shoot this motherfucker in the back. I have no sympathy for these people. I have no sympathy and I have nothing but contempt for anybody who is trying to justify or excuse it. You're not the police. We don't do vigilante justice out here in America. And I find it crazy that we always talk about that and we say that shit, but we only have no issue with it being done when it's a black person that's being held accountable, when it's a black person that the vigilante is going after. This shit is weird. There's a lot of people out here who love to find any excuse to just justify Black death. They had it coming. Why didn't they comply? This, that, other bullshit. It's all just different hoopla and different ways of saying he had it coming. He was Black, so you know what? It probably was his fault. I get tired of these types of stories, of these types of cases, because all they do is just further remind me of just how little our lives actually matter to a sizable amount of people who exist in this country. It is it is beyond belief that people can see this story. And despite the fact that, like I said, you chased them 130 yards. That's like chase. Okay, that's like somebody stealing from your house, and instead of giving up once they are outside of your neighborhood, you track them down across the entire city. Never call the authorities, just so that you can start to make shit and beat their ass yourself, or you can shoot them or kill them. It's it's asinine. It's asinine, especially considering this is a 14-year-old boy, a 14-year-old kid. I don't care that he had a gun on him. If you don't chase him, if you leave that up to people who are properly trained to deal with that, you're not going to find yourself in that situation. Yet constantly we find ourselves back at this point because there's a very specific demographic out there that finds it so necessary to always try to be a fucking superhero. That instead of minding their own business and just, if you see something suspicious or scary, call people who are equipped to deal with it, who are trained to, they have to try to take care of it themselves. And it's not like this is in neighborhoods in the hood where the police don't show up or where they are hesitant to be there. It's always in neighborhoods where all you have to do is call them, they're going to show up. All you have to do is just say, hey, there's a Black guy out here that I don't know about. And you know what? Again, I'm not trying to say that that dealing with the police is okay or that is fun, that I wouldn't be nervous. But damn it, I'm going to have a little bit more of a thought of this is somebody who is at least trained or at least has been around to deal with these criminal situations compared to some of these fucking vigilante wannabe Paul Blart ass like mall cops out here who don't do a lick of fucking criminal justice, who don't know anything about that field, yet they feel like they are in the right to try to be a vigilante whenever they see a person of color, whenever they see something suspicious in their neighborhood. All that old lady who calls the police on everything, I'd prefer that compared to a motherfucker who's going to try to go out there and handle it themselves. Because when you try to handle it yourself, a lot of times you end up making the situation worse, escalating shit, doing shit that ain't necessary. And that's what irks me about this case so much, man. It didn't need to happen. And that's the crux of both of these cases. Neither of them needed to happen. They didn't need to chase Cyrus. They could have handled that to the police. Karmelo didn't need to stay there in that tent and have that shit and continue that whole altercation. And Austin didn't need to continue it either. On one hand, you've got poor decision making, you've got poor conflict resolution skills from two teenagers. But on the other hand, you've got grown ass adults who think so little of Black life, who think so little of us, of my people, that they feel that it's better for them to just go out and handle it themselves, that they'll be okay if they just have to shoot one of them because they had it coming, compared to just calling somebody, especially when it comes down to the stolen merchandise that they're so worried about being some bottles of fucking water. It's frustrating, it's tiring, and it's annoying to know that these types of people exist in the world and that you have to be on your P's and Q's outside when you are around. Being Black and just existing is a crime to some people. Being black and existing is a crime to some people. I'm going to repeat it again. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to move a certain way. You don't have to talk a certain way. You can be Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and there are still going to be some people who are going to just be threatened by you, be worried about you, and just untrustworthy when it comes to you. And that's why it's not a joke when people say that, a black man is damn near putting his life on the line every day when he goes out into public. Because all it can take is one person to be uncomfortable around you, to get the wrong idea, the wrong impression. And next thing you know, you're having a confrontation with some trigger happy neighborhood watch motherfucker, or you've got police on you. Because again, I know I said the police, I'd rather deal with them, but even then, that can be a situation that goes south easily. You can end up like Philando Castle, having a gun owner, having a gun card, having everything you're supposed to do and trying to handle the situation right and still end up getting shot and killed. It is difficult. It's hard and it is almost frightening to be black and exist sometimes. There's a lot of benefits, there's a lot of cool shit that comes along with it, but there's also some negatives and there's also just a lot of having to keep your head on a swivel. This is a world and this is a world. I was ready to say system and society, but no, it's not just that. It's global. Afro pessimism, just that anti-blackness is a global phenomenon. It's not just any continent. It's not just any one country. It's all over the place. So my biggest thing that I want to tell anybody, my biggest takeaway from this episode for my viewers right now, I want y'all to understand, if you are black, that you've got to understand that. You've got to know what comes with that, and you've got to keep your head on a swivel, and that's man or woman, because it's not everybody. It is not the entire world, but there is a sizable, decent part of it that just is not going to ever be for you. That's not going to be in your favor. That's going to be going completely against you. And for everybody else, I just want you to understand that bias isn't something that I think that a lot of people choose to have, that I think that a lot of people actively or cognizantly have. I think it's something that at this point is damn near subliminal. It's in the messaging that we have, that we see every day. It's in the way that it's in a lot of our social norms. It's persistent. It's damn near in our DNA. And just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Understand those biases that we have built into us, and try. I know that it's it's one thing to just try to go and combat them and get rid of them, but the first thing that you can do is at least acknowledge them and understand that they're there. I know, just for instance, I might be black, but I still have a lot of, potentially misogynistic shit that I still have in my head. That's still just in me. That's just from growing up the way the world used to be, because it's ever changing. Thankfully, we're getting more and more morally, like, responsible and ethically responsible as time goes on. But listen, you could say the gay slur, the F word, on TV like it was nothing back in the day, on regular TV. Compare that to where we are now, and it's night and day. So I understand that it's a journey in terms of us becoming better people, but the journey is going to only be able to accelerate and really get better once we start to recognize the way that not only the media but the government and everything else sort of conditions us to be in this state, to be in this sort of state of existing as a country and as a people. Rest in peace to Cyrus Belton. Rest in peace to Austin Metcalf. And my prayers and thoughts go out to Karmelo Anthony, because everybody in all of these situations, they just need to be prayed for. Nobody won. Nobody got one on the other. In the case of Karmelo Anthony, two families lost kids. One of them may have lost them physically, but the other one, he might as well be dead mentally, spiritually. So it's not easy. Life is not fun right now, man, but things are gonna get better. I just think that things are gonna get better. They have to get better, because shit's really bad right now in terms of the climate of this country, in terms of the climate of everywhere. This administration that we have in office, it feels like this is the way they want us to be with this climate, with this racial tension and everything like that. So we have to, again, recognize how we're being manipulated, how things are being slanted. And we have to just sort of keep in mind that that is sometimes just not the true reality. I think there's a lot of people that want us all to just be unified, that see the okey doke that's trying to be played over us. And hopefully we're all able to reach each other and get on that same accord, because the world definitely should not be in the state that it's in right now. And I don't just blame the orange man. I think we all played a part in helping it getting here. I blame social media and I blame all these tech bros up there, oligarchs that are doing what they do. But at a certain point, we all have to recognize the okie doke and start to move accordingly, and hoping that that's something that we can do. With all that being said, though, that's all I really had for y'all regarding these two cases. Like I said, nobody won in the Carmelo case. Both sides lost a family member. One dude had to hold his brother as he died in his arms, and the other one, they're gonna have to hug their son through a jail cell for the next 35 years. And Carmelo does not seem the type that's gonna do well in prison. And in the case of Cyrus Belton, it's like I said, our lives don't really matter. Black lives, I should say, really don't matter to a lot of people out there. And niggas out there, we gotta understand that. We have to, again, I've heard this said by one of my favorite YouTubers, and I'll say it again. There's so much time that a lot of niggas will spend focusing on how the world should be instead of dealing with how the world actually is. We exist in a state where there's just a lot of people who don't value us, who see us as the problem in society. And so you've got to just you got to just keep that in mind, man. You got to just always move accordingly. Not everybody's going to be our friend. Not everybody's going to have our back and support black owned business, support each other, because it's hard. Especially as black men, we have to support each other because it is hard. There's a lot of pitfalls, there's a lot of traps, there's a lot of shit out there that's designed to bring us down. And you have to have discipline. You have to have that emotional wherewithal to understand, to understand again when it's time to fight, when it's time to just back down or just chill out. Because if you don't, it's gonna be a lot of situations in life that are gonna test you as a black man. That you're gonna have people say shit to you that you just like, why the fuck you say that? Man, I didn't have some shit like that happen to me just this past week. But the difference is I was old enough to know, to have that mental wherewithal, that emotional control, to know that I can't react the way that I would love to react. I can't turn up on somebody just because they said something stupid or did something stupid. Because that reaction that I get for doing that isn't going to be the same as compared to other people. And not only that, if the consequences that come from me having that same type of reaction are just going to be something way more than I would probably be able to maintain or take. Move accordingly, y'all. Keep your head on a swivel. Understand that melanin on your skin is not only a gift, in a lot of ways it can be a curse. Way more of a gift than a curse, just so I'm clear. But there is some negatives that are going to come with that shit. And so don't act dumb, don't act reckless, especially if you are in Texas, especially if you're in Florida, shit, anywhere in the country, because niggas get railroaded. Niggas get sent upstate over small shit. So if you find yourself in any of these situations, if you find just especially any black teenagers, know how to walk away, bruh. Sometimes, like even the fight would have been stupid, but especially if you out here trying to walk around with knives, you trying to walk around with guns. I'm not trying to say like if you have to, you have to. I don't know everybody's situation. I don't know where you're at or where you live in. If you're in the hood, it can be like that. But understand, you are not going to be, they're not going to take it easy on you. As a young black man, as a young shit, second you get to the age of 14, damn near 13, you are seen as the description. You, in a lot of ways, are going to be seen as the threat. So when they catch you doing certain shit that's going to scare them, they're going to make sure they make an example out of you. That's why my mom always warned me, you can't do what the other kids can do, so you better know that. But I'm going to stop right here before I start to ramble on and on. This has been Kinetic Aesthetic. This has been your boy Germ. I want to tell you all again to make sure you like, follow, subscribe on whatever platform that you are listening on. If you're checking this out on YouTube, make sure you hype the video for me. Make sure you boost me in that algorithm. It means so, so much. But other than that, this has been Kinetic Aesthetic, man. I am praying for everybody involved in all these situations. I'm praying for my people and I'm praying for this country because it feels like things continuously are getting worse before they get better. But I'm going to leave y'all with a hopeful statement because that's all we have. That's all we can really have. It is going to get, you're going to experience the darkest night before you experience the brightest dawn. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get a lot better. And I truly believe that. So we might be in the spot right now. We're in that ebb and flow because that's all life is ebbs and flows. And right now we might be in that ebb where you're going real, real low, but it's gonna have that peak. And it's gonna have that peak sooner than we know. We just all have to maintain and keep up that hope. But this has been Kinetic Aesthetic. This has been your boy Germ. All my niggas out there, keep your head on the swivel, and all my black people, period. Just continue to be you. It's been your boy Germ. I'm out. Kinetic Aesthetic is out. I love y'all, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow with Sports Talk.